So welcome everyone to today's webinar with Josh and Raina. We're going to be talking today about the body's blueprint and how the body holds the blueprint for healing. Of course, we have Josh and Raina with us. They're going to be here to talk to us a little bit about the body, about healing, about programs and beliefs. And then also, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and I'll make sure that we get those questions answered before the end of the session. Great. Hi, Josh. Hi, Raina.
Hi.
We are ready for you.
Let's do this.
There we go.
All right. Welcome. Thank you. That was so great. Always great to see everybody. But before we begin, of course, maybe scan all of you.
Yes.
And let's walk up to the creative all that is. Take a deep breath in and gather all the energy from the bottoms of your feet. Go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. It could be any color, but take it up through the sky, the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, golden lights, all the way up to that jelly-like substance, into that tingly white light. Let unconditional love fill every cell of your body. While you're there, say, Creator, thank you for my life. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes. This is a great subject. I like this one. The blueprint of your body.
Oh.
And what a great metaphor for what it is. It has to do with our body, because we really are just a basic blueprint that has everything to do with everything that, like we're our own architects. And all the way down to if we were to like cut our finger and it was, let's say that we needed to have a repair to, or a protocol for whatever we needed, that blueprint is basically exactly what we would go turning to if we needed to be fixed. And so that's a great metaphor for that. I like that.
Agreed. Like you look at the collaboration of different things, and one of my favorite studies came from a university in Israel that talked about taking a liver cell. They took it across like 5 miles away, and then they poked their liver, and the cell reacted 5 miles away, right? So we always just kind of thought that our body was a very silent. We thought it was very much contained inside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And more every day, you're seeing information about how much our body communicates around us, within us, everything that's going on, right? We get signals if something's off in a physical sense. We get signals that something's off in hormonal sense. We get it in intuitive sense. And what we started to understand, and what's kind of really driving this giant industry shift of mindfulness in the world, is how much we interact with our own processes, right? I just read an article today that talked about how the nervous system is overloaded. It affects your body's ability to do everything. So they're publishing article after article now of how if your nervous system is in too much of one vibration that's stressful or one vibration that's overwhelming, that you start to have all kinds of problems, and it trickles over system to system to system. So it goes from your nervous system and it'll affect your muscles. It goes from your nervous system and it'll affect your respiratory system, your ability to breathe. It goes to your skeletal system because your muscles were too tight, and there's just all kind of collaborating, right? So one of the things that's really cool about this class is that all theta healing classes kind of have those two layers, right? The practitioner layer where you really dive into yourself, and the instructor layer where you're still kind of making sure that things are moving for yourself, but also your communication and inspiration for the world around you.
Well, and because we are all going through things, or we know people that are going through things, it makes it so much more just in the moment, because we can really learn about things that are happening because of the different types of things that Josh was just talking about, the different stressors, the indicators, and we all get signs in the very beginning before anything ever happens. I was even looking it up myself, because I was like, okay, I know there's lots of different types of things that give indications or signals. Like, for instance, if we have chronic stress, it's like we have this this cortisol that releases for our adrenals, and then it kind of gives us this understanding. But then it's not just that. The biggest things that we start to see before anything starts to become really havoc on our body are just little things like emotions can be off, sleep issues. You can have things, let's see, I can't remember what it was like, oh, tight shoulders, things that have to do with slow digestion. Like, there's lots of things that are, like Josh was saying, like really can give us indications that can say, hey, pay attention. But we're so overwhelmed and so stressed. A lot of times we just keep going and we're kind of pushing some of those things that are aside, that are really coming up and saying, hey, these are things that are going on in our bodies. Don't push past them. They're like, because then it becomes chronic, it becomes more in depth, and becomes so much more of a disease if we just keep letting it go past that. And that's why I really like this class, because it shows, hey, where's this connected to this dot, like where's that architecture come from?
So we were out of the office and we're talking at lunch yesterday, and we were talking about genetics. Actually, we were talking about some memories of our ancestors and some different things.
Yeah.
And it's very, very funny, because you may have heard us say something similar, but when we started doing this work, there were so many things that were discussed that were no, that's not a possibility. And even like emotions, for instance, as we talk and dive into emotions, which are being very much understood as contributing to the health of every one of our systems. There was we reduce it down to 5, and we tried to oversimplify it. Right, we were like, we're going to make it so that this system doesn't understand its own cues, and kind of knowing that and seeing that, we had this discussion about what gets passed on from our ancestors in terms of a lot of these things. And we give a lot of credit to some scientists and great people out at UCLA, in particular Rachel Yehuda's research on epigenetics has been phenomenal for what we have been trying and working towards all these timeframes. But every day we learn more and more about, hey, we don't just not know everything about our universe outside of the Earth. We really just as much knowledge about the human body. Even after all this time and all this study, we have these complex features that we're still understanding and finding more in depth and more understanding. And we get signals and we get connections, and we are basically taught to ignore them from old information, right? We're taught, don't listen to the kind of container or connection of yourself, because you're connected on all those levels. You're connected physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We get a lot of separation, right? I can't tell you the number of people who come up in classes that really focus just on one of those things. Like, if we fix this one, it will fix all of them. But it's a partnership, right? So anytime that you overcorrect and like, I need to fix this one, which was probably true, you have a tendency to move too far in one direction. And if you overcorrect something, your whole system reacts. Like, if you change the way you walk, it hurts.
And of course, there'll be indications of what's happening, and one side will compensate for the other, and it would become much more of a problem. The whole thing that has to do with pushing past, not really paying attention. Sometimes we have those programs that are within us from epigenetics, sent down from, of course, our ancestors, and we just kind of have them that say resting is not good, or pushing past is lazy when it comes to resting, even though our bodies are giving us signals that tell us that we need to do these things. It's something that is going to help us repair, and it could be something that can really cause us a burnout and frequencies of illnesses, and cause problems that really our bodies are just telling us all the time, and allowing us to recognize those things that are going on within the body. That's why I love this class, because I just love the body. It just really just tells you so much about what's going on, not only with you, but your clients. Because when they come to you and they say, I have no idea what is going on and why on earth I just can't rest, you know exactly why. Because they've got things going on with their epigenetics, and then they can find so much more. And I love, yes, you're right. Like the one thing they go, well, what one thing can I do to fix everything? And you know that there's more than one thing that can fix it. So,
well, you're like a walking symphony, right? You're perfectly orchestrated across all of these different communications and all these different levels, right? You're communicating wirelessly, you're communicating wired, those communications are creating. They're letting know what's going on. They're giving signals of good things. They're giving signals of difficult things.
Sure.
And all of it just really connects deep within you. So when you get a chance to dive into that, and then you add in, oh, we are wireless, we do communicate with each other, you realize sort of the immense pressure we put on our physical systems from our interactions with everything around us, right?
I mean, I was just thinking about this the other day. So, because someone had come, because we come into Montana just a couple days ago, someone was telling me how beautiful it is here and how great it is to be able to breathe. Because where they're from,
给你爸
pollution
打个视频，
so much
你看他
that
回去了没？他
that
昼
it's
夜
hard
讨厌的很。你爸一个人看，
to be able to breathe in where they're from. And so the biggest part for them was that they could breathe here, and it was so different. And their bodies were telling them so many things about themselves, and it's just because the environmental things that we deal with all the time, sometimes we don't even recognize because it's something that's in the pollution, it's toxins that we have to deal with. And sometimes, we're giving indications that those may be bothering us, but we just push past them because it's our environment. So it's what we are used to. We deal with it. So if we happen to have some medications like rashes or eczema or things that are coming up, even like allergies or whatever, those types of things can be indications that can be the first cues into the little things that may be bothering body.
Oh, I think that's another really good conversation to have. Like, we just flew in, as Rain mentioned, and we came from a place that has a constant warm, moist temperature to a place that's cooler and right now has very, very dry air.
Very.
Now, our bodies know both places. Our energy knows both places, but there is an environmental adjustment, right? And that environmental adjustment can be seen very easily on a physical sense. Okay, we call it jet lag when we're on a new time zone because we feel the difference of different things. But jet lag is more than just a hormonal disturbance. Jet lag is also an environmental shift, right? You're dealing with brand new bacteria, brand new spores in the air. You're dealing with brand new set of pressure in terms of how hard your body works for oxygen.
Yes.
And as you're dealing with all of these different things, your body is giving you signals that just is saying, this is what I'm dealing with. And it's saying, this is what I might need, right? Maybe I need a little bit of a reset, or maybe I need to keep going. And it's funny because there's all these different articles that say, stay awake and get on the time frame immediately. And then there's a whole bunch of articles that say, go to sleep. Sleep is now the new wonder drug, right? It's going to fix everything. The more you can get into sleep, the better your body's going to adjust. What it shows and what you see with so much information is we do studies of like 1,000 people or 10,000 people, and we apply it to the general population. Within those studies, it gives us like a snippet of how certain human bodies react. But until we have widespread understanding, until something affects a lot of people, we don't know how it's going to affect them each individually because we're all built different. You could be in the same house and have an entirely different environmental response to a situation. The way that you walk out and deal with stress might be different than your spouse or your child. We had this discussion yesterday. We were talking around the table and we were talking about the word hate came up in conversation.
Oh, yeah. And our daughter has a totally different understanding of the word hate based on all the experiences that she's had in her life and her epigenetics, of course. And then someone say our son, who has a totally different understanding of the word hate.
Yeah, he uses it. It means that he felt an intense emotion and he let it go. It doesn't have the depth of like, I'm carrying it for generations. To him, it's a word that you need to work your way through and not hold on to. So he uses it as such. To her, it is a monumental word that means that it is etched inside of her soul. So when she uses it, she feels this kind of immense feeling of all these different memories and frustration, right? She's working on it. She's working on
yes, of course,
on different things, but the definition of the words caused a disconnect. Just those words, a physical disconnect. Body's got a little tenser, trying to explain different things because the perspective didn't. So immediately there's a little bit more tension.
And that's that way with everybody. And we can feel all the difference in the perspectives that we all have, just having our own language and understanding and trying to understand other people in the way that they speak and how we can try to communicate back and forth with each other. Could be a barrier of language, could be anything. And just recognizing where their different areas they're from and how they recognize their language and your language could be something that could bring up anything at any point that could say an indication in your body, this is not working, I don't understand this.
Some people are built to work. They're genetically engineered to work and think and move all the time, and it's very, very foreign for them to even have spouses or children that have a genetic alteration to that definition, right? A small one. We shouldn't work as much. What do you mean you shouldn't work as much? Work is how you build things. And then there's conflict. And that conflict is felt systemly, right? It's felt between two bodies every time they come around each other, and they energetically interacting, physically interacting. On the soul level, they're interacting. And those things are messing with the containers of both of them to not allow positive alignment and manifestation. So people manifest all the time, and they say, why am I not getting my manifestation? The answer is very, very easy. Because your manifestation would change a pressure that you know or you've become super accustomed to, right? Because our body doesn't think that pressure, well, that pressure really hurts, it should stop. Like our daughter, her body doesn't hear that word and go, ooh, I want to get rid of it. Intuitively, we know not such a good thing. It's not good in the container. It's not going to work good in the body. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. And we have had many conversations, and we're her parents. She's not seeking information from her parents like that. She wants to be 20 something years old, and she's defining herself in this world. So when we talk, she hears my mom and dad are telling me something to do. This is not right. Even though the intention is great, her system won't allow that communication to come through in a positive way. And that's what happens with our manifestations. Our intention is phenomenal. We go up and we create, I theorize that, and I think you agree, that it's a sense that the possibility is there. It's a sense that it exists. It's knowing and knowledge of such. But when we go up and ask for it, our system knows what it means to the pressure that we're feeling, right? And so our system doesn't see it as neurological pain that makes it so you can't move, or an illness that's so overwhelming for your body. Our system sees it as the perfect thing that solved something, the perfect communicator, right? And it was created for usually a reason. So all these different things that are going on in our physical self, they all come down to big emotional and spiritual reasons, right? How we harness the container of our energy with these things has a huge effect. And we're not really flowing. I mean, we have physical systems that flow in opposite directions, right? You got your blood system that has to have a pump that goes against gravity when it reaches a certain point and push it up. And then you have your muscles that also go against gravity and push fluid up for your immune system, right?
And you have your lymph system. There's just so many different systems that are within you that are working in different sync.
Yeah. Your muscles don't work, your lymph system's not very good. Your lymph system's not very good, you're more prone to buildup of different bacteria. So
and toxins and things that are going to cause problems in your body.
You don't move for a long time, and all of a sudden you move, your body's got a whole bunch of different signals. It's saying, first, what did you just do?
So when you actually do move again, it does cause a little bit of more problems.
Second, the amount of lymph fluid that your muscles are moving through your body is different. And there's going to be sort of an overload of a system being used to one level and you're not used to another. We learned as we were dealing with all kinds of different things, the importance of living things finding their rhythm of movement. Okay, any living thing that we define as living in scientific term has as a movement of some sort.
I mean, if you take Josh and I, we're completely different in our movement that we have. We still move, but we're completely different in how much we have to have, how much we need, whatever it is. We are completely different, but we like to move and we like to work out and keep our bodies healthy. It's just different because we're not the same people.
So when we move, we get all kinds of different chemicals, and we don't move, we don't get those chemicals. Yes. And the only problem, it's not even that big of a problem, the body just wants you to tell it which environment to get used to. Which one am I adapting to? Am I adapting to the one that's more sedentary? Because if that's the case, then I need to do this. And these are the things that the pressures we're going to deal with. Or are we going to adapt to an environment that's more on the move? If that's the case, then these are the things I need. So we cross signals, right? And that's just two physical signals.
And that's exactly where the architecture comes in, because it says, hey, this is how we are building things. This is the blueprint you have. And hey, this is where we need to go in order for us to make sure that it's going to work together.
Now, those are two signals of information based off of things that are going on. And the human body, it only processes something like 4 billion pieces of information a second. Just a little bit. It's just a little busy. Your soul, your energy, your physical function, you're processing so many signals. It's unmatchable. Okay, you can open up and read about quantum computing and supercomputers, and it's not even close to the processing speed that you have on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level. Doesn't even touch it. They would love for it to. That would be phenomenal, but it won't. And there's also this big thing that kind of goes around as we get these tools that brings up information, right? And there's this idea that's kind of taken hold. It's a fear a little bit that they're going to replace a lot of things with AI and all these different things. And when we first heard it, we were sitting in a room, somebody came up and said, they're going to replace everybody and these are going to be done, so don't worry about it. And they're like, why not worry about it? You can't replace a human. You can't. You can replace certain tasks. But AI will not have the ever capacity to fundamentally be a vessel of energy that feels pressure the way you do. It's very task oriented. You move by pressure and understanding and response in your world. That fundamental difference is actually something that we connect to everybody with. Okay, we need each other. We crave connection. We crave an understanding because we're actually built to communicate with each other. We're built to be in little groups and support each other. And we're built to be in large groups and support each other. So without that communication, of that pressure is unnavigational. And that pressure exists on every living thing. It all responds to pressure. Sometimes when we don't listen to those signals, we cause destruction. And you can look at the body and see how we don't listen to those signals. It's destructive. And what they're afraid of is the destruction that might come from trying to replace that pressure without having something that understands it fully. And that's really something that will be adaptable to as we kind of grow and change, because we always adapt to pressure, right? We always have, we always will. That's what exists. Either we will or the earth will. It's always going to continue to energetically adapt. What we want to do is clear up those signals about how it's adapting, what it's causing. So if we clear up those signals and you take something like intuitive anatomy instructor class, you take that first week and you go back through those systems and you really make sure that those systems are clear, not just for your energy, but what you communicate to everybody around you, right? Not just what you want to feel for yourself, but what's going on and how everybody's receiving what you're putting out. You attack that first week of belief work like that, and then you move into the second week. Each of these weeks, you're going through all the systems. So intuitive anatomy practitioner, 3 weeks, one system a day. Intuitive anatomy instructor, each week, 15 systems. Because you're processing information, your ability to understand, your ability to know what you're communicating around you is leveled up. And as it's leveled up, there's more you can do with it. There's more that you can create, more that you can understand. Also, and I love how these things kind of get very synchronistic. We've had many conversations lately, but we also just had one about mastery, kind of mastering different things. Somebody was saying they were done learning something. I think it was our oldest, saying, I'm done learning something. I don't ever have to learn more of it. And we said, well, that's an interesting choice. He said, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, there's always more to learn about something. Like the reason all this information gets passed down and shared is you could learn more about grass, right? They're still making discoveries about grass that they never knew. Yeah,
Okay, I always go to grass. Like
So what it meant, I said, so it's not mastery. It's you saying, I'm comfortable with this level of knowledge. And you're hoping somebody else recognizes that as that you're a little bit more accomplished with that knowledge than other people. So you think you have more knowledge than somebody else about it, and you're happy with that. Okay, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. And I said, but that doesn't mean that it's complete mastery of something that's changing and evolving. There's so much knowledge and so much information that's changed that you're just making a decision. There's nothing wrong with those decisions. Intuitive anatomy kind of shows you all those systems that you make and how you've made them in your life, and you get a chance to dive into, do I want to keep it? Is that what I want my system to do, right? Is this what I really would like from this communication of myself with the world? Do I want to walk into the room and stand a little bit taller because my skeletal system knows it's supported and knows how to carry the weight of different things? Or am I happy kind of not?
And there's so many things on each system that tells you a little bit more about how you communicate and the perspectives of which you have and those that you'll be working with, of course, because you'll be working with lots of people that are in the room, which makes it so much more fun with that cellular communication.
Yeah, there's a little bit of belief work. Just a little. Okay, there's a lot. But there's always belief work, right? You're doing belief work now. I mean, you really are. You're just doing it slowly, right? So the difference between digging into it is how fast you want to accomplish this, is how much you want to learn the lesson. So the signals you felt today are your body, your pressure, your vessel giving you signals about things you're working on, and you contemplating the amount of time you want this to take. That's your energetic interaction. How long and what energies need to be exchanged for this to take? So all these virtues and all these things that we're learning, that's what we're deciding. It isn't money we're exchanging. It's the combination of all those things. The time is actually a very, very big communicator of the pressures of what's going on. We make a lot of decisions on the energetic perception of time. Mm-hmm. A lot. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, that thing has probably much more weight than money, but we don't see so many blocks on time. We see much more blocks on money. Not because they're not there, but because money is a pressure that we talk about on a very group conscious level, and we interpret very different ways. So in this class, you get kind of your individual language interpretation of things, and you get an opportunity to dive into it. If you're a teacher and you're going out and teaching, it's not just the words you're going to say. So you can study the manual and know what you're going to say. It's who you're saying your words to. And if you can't feel them to know what they're hearing as an intuitive, and you're just feeling yourself, then you're talking to yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're talking to yourself, you're attracting yourself. You get very small student bases.
The limited pool becomes much smaller because everybody's different. You want to attract more individuals that are on different levels, different perspectives.
Great. You guys are here. We'll give you some homework. This is abundance homework. Also, a good start to intuitive anatomy class. It's going to involve a little bit of belief work. But when you interact today, think about if you moved your communication style to the different people and places to be understood, or if you tried to force them to move to your communication.
That's a great one.
If you tried to force them to your communication, you're putting a lot of spiritual and physical and emotional effort into something that can be done in a much lighter fashion with a different vibration. Like that, and unconditional love is really the key to that. Because if you go up and you connect to that and you see with love without judgment, you know it has to make sense to them in the way that I intend it. Not a way that gets kind of trickled down and miscommunicated. And we start clearing up a lot of miscommunication. So anyway, we've talked for a little while.
Sanaya? Questions?
Yeah, so far, no questions. It looks like everyone is just completely engaged in what you're saying. So no questions, but I will check again.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll give you guys a couple downloads.
No, you're first.
She put her hand down first. I would give my hand out to say it's Rena's.
Okay.
She beat me.
let's give you some download that you know who you are, that you can recognize the cellular communication that you have with others and the perspective of others as you work through your days, and recognize how and truly special and important you are.
And within that movement and understanding of yourself, you know how to connect and allow love and allow prosperity and allow understanding for yourself and for things around you without feeling forced to choose.
So make those downloads, of course. Put your head up, nod, whatever. Say yes. And we'll send it your way. Awesome. And a little extra unconditional love, of course, if you like that. Send that your way. That was fun. I enjoyed this one.
Our translators are heading out to class.
Yes, they are.
You guys will have fun today. We won't see it. We'll be here getting ready for a different class that starts tonight. We're doing
basic. Yep.
And we're counting down to being able to come out that way and do some intuitive anatomy instructor stuff and some other fun stuff. I like other fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. We're going to be bringing a lot of fun information that way.
So,
thank you guys for your time and your efforts this morning. Everything that you all do, both Sanaya and the translators and all of you for waking up and spending a little time with us.
If you're already awake, that's great too.
Or nighttime. Yeah. Us waking up and getting to spend time with you is better.
I know. Thank you to you for waking up early for us. But intuitive anatomy instructors will be on September 22 until October 10th. And the last week will be in person. So, make sure you check that out. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Josh and Raina, and thank you to everybody. Thank you for Akemi and Hui. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.